continue with our last award of today, and that is the International for Freedom Award. And she will be introduced by someone who used to be a professional football player for Vitesse, FC Groningen and Sparta. And he lives in Holland already since 1996. But he was born in Ukraine. With a Ukrainian mother and a Russian father, he grown up in the Donbas region. And now he's chairman of the Dutch Union for Professional Football Players, but most of the time he's busy with Ukrainian refugees and the situation over there. Please give a warm hand for Evgeniy Levchenko. Hi, Evgeniy. Hi. So everybody is watching Ukraine right now because of the war. We used to watch a lot of news also about Belarus about a year ago. You haven't forgot about Belarus. Why not?
No, first of all, because there are neighbors. We are neighbors. We have a lot of similarity, a lot of things we share, as well cultural things, but also humor. And also, you know, we have a lot of friends. I have a lot of friends in Belarus. And I think the most important thing that we have the same values. We fight for our freedom. We fight for our independence, for our rights. So there are a lot of similarities, and I cannot stand that in this time, 2022, you have two dictators who just destroy the life of Belarusian people and people from Ukraine.
And what is it like for you to be in the Netherlands and watch what is happening there in your home country?
Yeah, it's very hard, especially past 2 months were very hard. I think Sviatlana told very well. We like one big family. We try to, because it's very important also for Belarusian people that we will fight this evil, actually, because if you see how it works, how it goes, it has direct influence on Ukrainian people and people of Belarus. So, in my opinion, a lot of respect for people of the Netherlands who help a lot Ukrainian people at this moment.
Shall we have a look at Sviatlana Tshikhanouskaya?
I wanted to give up so often, and it hasn't changed since. I just can't step away now because, you know, I became like a symbol of freedom. They voted for me not as for a person, not as for future president, but just like a symbol of changes. Why I can't declare myself as president? Because we know for sure that the elections were falsified. But I can accept that I was chosen by people as national leader. And, you know, I just can't come and say, I'm president, you have to obey. No, it's absolutely not about me. I want the Belarusians to live in a free country, in safe country, where they are not afraid to speak, where they are not afraid to be grabbed on the streets if they are not agree with something. I'm more frightened than anybody else among them, but I just can't give up.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, she is widely recognized as the winner of the presidential elections in Belarus in 2020 against the autocratic president Lukashenko. As leader of the Belarusian democratic movement, she doesn't want to become a president. No, she advocates the release of more than 900 political prisoners, and she wants free and fair elections in Belarus. Please welcome the winner of the International for Freedom Awards, Sviatlana Tshikhanouskaya. So I've just told Evgeny that a little bit over a year ago, your country was in the news here every day because the people of Belarus voted for your presidency, and of course because of the protests that were after that. Now we don't hear anything anymore, and we would like to know, how is your home country doing? How are the people of Belarus doing?
You know, I understand that the focus now is shifted from Belarus to Ukraine to other world problems, but I have to say that our pain about situation in Belarus is still with us. We every day know about new victims of repressions, about new detainees. We live in this. It's very serious what's going on in our country. And we have to explain this to people in the world, to democratic countries, that everything is still going on. The dictator is still keeping his power thanks to support of Kremlin, thanks to his violence, you know, and our people are suffering. And even now, when the war in Ukraine is going on, Belarus is still extremely important in this region. We understand that the fate of Belarus depends on the fate of Ukraine and vice versa. Until Lukashenko is in power, there will be no calm situation in the region. It will be a constant threat for Ukraine, for security of European countries. So we have to drag attention to Belarus, to our political prisoners, to our political situation, to dictator who is still ruling in the country. And that's why we constantly ask to create multiple points of pressure on the regime on the one hand and support civil society on the other hand.
Yes, and how do you do that? Put pressure on the regime?
Differently. Belarusian people inside the country courageously fighting with a dictator. So, of course, the time this war divided, our fight. Before, it was like pressure from people, different widespreading of information, small strikes at enterprises, huge economical pressure from outside. Now, when the war in Ukraine started, people united into anti-war movement. Lukashenko dragged our country into this war against the will of Belarusian people. We have never imagined that Belarus will be co-aggressor in this war, because Ukrainians are our brothers and sisters, but Lukashenko is paying his debts to Putin at the moment because Putin supported him after fraudulent election in 2020. And now Belarusian people are trying to help Ukrainians. On our territory, our activists disrupting railway to stop delivery of military equipment to Ukraine. Our people are making pictures of missiles that are being launched from our territory or tanks that are moving through our country and send this information to Ukraine for them to be prepared. A lot of Belarusian people, men, went to Ukraine to fight on the side of Ukrainians. There are several Belarusian battalions fighting shoulder to shoulder with Ukrainian soldiers. A lot of volunteers, Belarusians who once fled Belarus because of repressions, now are helping Ukrainian refugees in Poland, Lithuania, and other countries. So we want to support Ukraine in this difficult fight because we know that once we could need their help.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's. I see it as well all the time in the news that some people of Belarus come to Ukraine and help them. So for me, a big respect. My question is about how in the past 2 years you still have attention on people of Belarus to support you. I think it's very hard to keep attention. Of course, you are not in the country. So how you do it? Which steps you are following?
I'm just fighting as I can. I don't ask my people to support me. I ask people to do small steps to our common aim. Our aim is to release all political prisoners in Belarus, and the number is increasing every day. Now this number is 1,500 people. stop repressions in Belarus, and bring our country to new elections. So this is our final aim, and now withdrawal of Russian troops from our territory. So I'm with you, I'm with people, I don't order them what to do. And I have to say that people in Belarus now are united as never before, because people are not competing for power. People are not fighting with each other. We have one aim in front of us, and in parallel we are going to this aim.
Good. Last question from me. Your message in the morning was really strong to NATO. Is it like, do you feel that Europe can do more in the fight in Ukraine and Russia with Ukraine, and do some more things in Belarus?
I think that every country, every democratic and free country has to do even more than they are doing now for Ukraine, because it's not the fight of Ukraine and Russia. It's fight of democracy and dictatorship, and democracy should prevail. We have to help Ukrainians with all possible means to defend their land, to defend these courage people that showed that the size of army means nothing if you have desire to defend your country. So it's very important to help Ukraine, but it's also very important to help Belarus. And as I say, it's important not only to withdraw troops from Ukrainian territory, but also from Belarusian, because while Lukashenko is in power, he's accomplice of Putin, he's collaborator in this war. There will be constant threat to all our neighboring region.
There's someone in the room that'd like to ask you a question. His name is Sebastian Doli. And there you are. What would you like to ask, Sviatlana?
Well, my question has pretty much been answered already. I was going to ask you about the opposition to the campaign in Ukraine and the support of the government for it. Maybe you could go a little more into detail if you want to, but pretty much it's been answered. Thank you.
One more time. What is your exact question? Can you phrase it very concrete?
So the question itself is, how has the population of Belarus reacted to Belarus's support for the Russians in Ukraine, and how has your effort, your call to arms against that, been answered?
Okay, first of all, I have to say that when the war started, there was a poll among Belarusians. You know, what is your attitude to the war? Yeah. And only 3% of Belarusians voted that Belarusians should participate in this war. And since the beginning, as I said, Belarusians didn't want to invade, participate. They wanted to support people in Ukraine. And the fact that Belarusian battalions have been organized in Belarus or in Ukraine irritated regime and frightened regime a lot. And they started to come to the apartments of the relatives of those men who are fighting on the side of Ukraine. You know, they are searching their houses, they bring them to jail for a couple of hours, so they are frightening people. But, you know, it doesn't matter anymore. You know, Belarusian people want to defend Ukraine, they want to defend our country, and you know, the fact that Belarusian troops didn't enter Ukrainian territory happened due to explanation for our soldiers that you don't have to fight for ambitions of two usurpers, you know, Putin and Lukashenko. Yeah. Ukrainians are our brothers and sisters. Don't do this.
It's about good education and communication.
Absolutely. And since the very first day of the war, we started to communicate with parents of our soldiers. Mothers, look, your children can be sent to Ukraine. They obviously could be killed. You know, we saw what's going on. And mothers started to call, you know, to the ministers, look, where is my boy, where is my son? And Lukashenko absolutely wasn't sure that the army will fulfill his order. Yeah. So it's not the merit of Lukashenko that our Belarusian soldiers didn't join a Russian army in Ukraine, but it's merit of Belarusian people and the soldiers themselves.
There again, you see the power of being in contact with each other and the power of women again. There's a question from the chat from Erik Mees, and he asks, what would you suggest to improve awareness on schools about human rights in Europe? What would you teach them yourself?
I think it's very important to explain modern children who haven't experienced any dictatorship, who know about human rights on the base of their countries, where human rights are taken for granted. It's very important to explain that there are countries where people are dying, are suffering to gain all those freedoms you have. So it's very important to, for example, to devote one lesson to Belarus, devote one or a couple of lessons to Ukraine, explaining what's going on in those countries and explaining how it's important to show solidarity, how it's important to be with those people who are on their path to democratic changes. For example, during our movement or visits, official visits, when I meet with officials, I ask them to hold special lessons in universities or in schools, explaining our situation and call pupils or students to write a letter to political prisoners. And children will value what they have, and they will support those who are fighting for this.
Yes.
For them to understand that the world is different. You are very happy that you live in a wonderful country, but there are people who are dying for gain what you have.
That's a very beautiful answer. Thank you. There's one last question, or room for one last question, and let's ask Ramon van Geen to ask the question. There you are.
I also saw your speech this morning, and you were very passionate about actually calling for help from other countries. Do you think that this medal that this award, will help you further your cause in Belarus? Can it help you, or does it give you new connections or new chances?
So first of all, I have to say that Belarusian people really deserve this award. And because we are fighting for freedoms that this award is devoted to. This award will give me the chance to say once again thank you to the Netherlands and to the whole world for the support for Belarusian people, for Belarusian cause. This award gave me opportunity to attract more attention to Belarus, to our political prisoners, to sufferings in my motherland, and to explain people that dictator is still there. It means that we didn't make enough to get rid of Lukashenko. So please, on the one hand, impose economic sanctions on Lukashenko, isolate him politically, economically, for he can't breathe because of this. But on the other hand, to be ready for this transitional period, for building a new democratic country, we have to keep our civil society strong and healthy. So that's why it's extremely important to support media, to support organizations, all the initiatives, for them to be powerful and strong when time comes to restore our country. So punish regime, but help people in Belarus, people who are fighting in exile, help diaspora, Belarusian diaspora all over the world, and then together we will be ready when time comes. So I really feel huge support from democratic countries, and I saw for this year and a half we built very strong connections with our democratic allies, and I know that we will not lose this connection in the future.
I thank you very much on behalf of everyone who is here that you took the time to have this conversation with us, and let it be clear that everyone here in the room stands with you and stands with Belarus. Thank you so much. Sviatlana Tshikhanouskaya. And thank you too, Evgeniy.